So Emarsys Marketing Platform. I'm going to start with a little introduction of myself, and then we will talk about lifecycle marketing a little bit, because I think that one of the concepts that even our marketers sometimes don't take into consideration necessarily, or those ones who don't have so much experience. So I really wanted to start with this audience about talking about lifecycle marketing a little bit. We will have a little use case, and then I will demo the product. So let's jump right into it. My name is Emese Balogh. I'm head of product training. In Emarsys, product training is a relatively small organization consisting of 10 people all around the globe. And our job is to train the users who have just onboarded to Emarsys and who have or have not used the marketing platform before. We produce product training videos, and we run a lot of sessions to those users, usually in their own accounts, but sometimes we run sessions in a public account, so-called public account, that I will use for the product demo in this case. I'm based in Budapest, where Emarsys has a research and development hub, as you probably know. I've been with Emarsys for 5 years. Previously, I worked, so three of those are spent in the real Emarsys. I spent also 2 years with Scarab Research. It's a startup that Emarsys bought 3 or 4 years ago, and we were developing the recommendation product that I will show you as well. I have 20 plus years experience in services, in CRM, consultancy, sales, and marketing. I'm really into the growth mindset. If you don't know the growth mindset, then ping me, please, and I will send you the name of the book that is an absolute must read for anyone who doesn't know about the growth mindset. I really love education and training and learning new things. I have 2 teenage kids. Maybe this is also why. And I'm a PADI rescue diver, as an interesting fact that maybe even my colleagues don't necessarily know about me. Okay, what is lifecycle marketing? I'm showing this to you because the concept of lifecycle marketing is really, really important when we are building and we are developing and training these products. So I guess it's important to know about this. How many of I thought originally that there were going to be people online in this session, so I was going to ask you to write a number in the chat, but maybe you can just share it in so that we can interact with each other, because I can hear you, but I can't see you. But 1 to 10 scale, how much do you think you know about lifecycle marketing? You can be honest. Just a number between 1 and 10. 10 is like, you know, you're an expert. 1 is you have no idea.
1.
Okay.
I heard the 1, and I would go with an 8.
Okay. All right. Okay. So lifecycle marketing. Lifecycle marketing is about how a brand interacts with the users during a certain amount of time. So there are leads. Those leads are people who have never purchased. So to those leads, you send the welcome program, you send introductory offers, you send surveys, you send newsletters. You want to get to know them. You ask them about their life cycle data and all those kinds of things. Once they have ordered or purchased something on your website or even in your store, we work a lot with retail clients, then they become known active customers. And they purchase, and you try to upsell them and cross-sell them, and you send them emails on their birthdays and anniversaries with coupons, and you send them loyalty offers. And then slowly but surely those customers start to become inactive, and they start to churn, and they start to defect. So that's when the blue curve starts, and that's when they become non-inactive customers. And then in the end, so you send them reactivation programs, and you really, really try to win them back as a marketer. And then in the end, you consider them lost customers, and you can still win them back, but the chances are relatively small from them. So this is the concept of life cycle marketing. And I want to build a use case and a scenario And I want you to imagine that you're Johannes, you're a new employee at Puma. That's why you're wearing a nice Puma shoes, nice pair of Puma shoes. And Johannes, you just arrived to the main offices of Puma in Herzogenaurach, in the south of Germany. And you're starting your journey in Puma. You're learning the story of Adi and Rudi Dössler, the two brothers who have set up a nice little company in the 1930s in this small city, and then had a huge argument over their wives, or their wives had a huge argument, and the company had to separate. So Adi started Adidas, and Rudi started the company that is now Puma, but at the time it was called Ruda, I think, and then changed its name. Both companies are very successful. The village is completely split up. Both factories are still in Herzogenaurach, and it's a very, very weird story that, that they have in there. So Johannes, you have probably learned this story, and now it's time that you start your journey in Emarsys. And let me stop this presentation and go over to the product, to the actual product. So this is the Emarsys Marketing Platform. This is one of the open pages. And Johannes, as you can see, this is not a Puma account, because our Puma account, Puma is an actual client, and they are doing very, very well with Emarsys. They are sending hundreds of thousands very successful emails, and they have really increased their success rates, their digital online marketing success rates since they work with us. So this is a training account, this is a production account, so it's not a sandbox or anything. And as I mentioned before, we train clients in this account. And Johannes, we're gonna start with some analytics, and we're gonna start on the customer lifecycle dashboard of Smart Insight. Oh, I made a promise to myself. If you catch me saying a 3-letter acronym that you don't know, I'm gonna buy you a Turo, Rudi. Or maybe a beer, because it's a meetup. So please raise your hand, or I don't know, shout in if there is a 3-letter acronym that you don't understand. Okay, so customer lifecycle dashboard. This is a product that we call Smart Insight. And when you look at it, you can see those customer lifecycle groups that I mentioned before. And there is a little hint on this dashboard that suggests to you, Johannes, as a new marketeer, of where you have the highest revenue potential, which customer group is suggested by this dashboard for you to work with. I can't see you, but maybe if you can shout it in, if you can see whether it's leads or first-time buyers, active customers, defecting customers, or inactive customers. The UI is very smartly suggesting a customer group that you should be working with. Any wild guesses?
So I will do. I think it's the defecting customers, right?
Sorry. Oh,
it's the defecting customers.
Yes. Was that you, or was that someone in the audience? I don't even know how many people there are in the room, but.
Yes. We have, besides me, 2, 4, 6 people.
Okay, cool. All right, so it's defecting customers. The UI is suggesting that you have the highest revenue potential with defecting customers. And obviously, this is your goal as a marketer is to increase revenue and increase the number of customers. There's a very interesting, very funny saying in marketing that there are only two industries. You probably heard this like a million times, but this is my first meetup, so I'm just go ahead and say it. So there are only 2 industries that call their customers users: the drug industry and computer science. So we call our users marketeers, and they call their customers. So just that we make sure that the terminology is clear here, okay? So Johannes, you want to work with defecting customers because they have the highest revenue potential. So you're gonna go and open the strategic dashboard, which is a very, very interesting product that we have, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago We released it 2 years ago, and it's very, very successful with our customers.
Wait, there is one question.
Yes.
So where did you see they have the highest value potential?
The question was, where did we see the highest value potential? Can you go back to the
Yeah,
site?
sure. Absolutely. Yes, so I can see it on the defecting customers. Here there's a little sign that suggests that I have the best current revenue potential with the defecting customers. Because I don't want to go into the details, because a Smart Insight is a very, very complex tool. Basically, what it does is that it takes a look at your whole customer base, in this case, like 70,000 customers, and based on purchase data, based on behavioral data, and based on their when they signed up and all that data, we create these thresholds of customers, and these thresholds, very important, are actionable, so you can create segments. So if you want to say, if let's say you want to build a campaign to target your leads, then you can do it on this dashboard. So all I want to talk is my leads. So I create a segment, and from that segment, I can create a lifecycle campaign. Is that clear now?
So is it the number of customers multiplied by the back rate?
The defecting customer is the number of customers who are, according to the data that you set at the beginning when you set up your account, is you're about to lose. So you want to talk to these customers, because if you don't, then they will become inactive because they haven't purchased during
I see there are many, but how do you know it is the highest potential?
Oh, because this is a business intelligence tool, and it calculates all the data, and it calculates and it tells me that by 1% win back rate of defecting customers, I can make so 1% conversion brings me 5,000 euros of income. So there are a lot of calculations in this dashboard further down the road. Even here, there's no point in going into the details, because it's a very, very complex product. But it's really great if you have a large customer base and you want to see your threshold and you want to see what your priorities are.
So just basically, yes? Just what's behind this? There's a RFM model. That's what it is called. And basically, we take all your sales data, so who purchased what, and based on that, we can calculate the average lifetime value. So basically, what can we expect from every single person, how much they worth to that brand. And based on these calculations, that's how this tool is trying to figure out how much money will you get if you win back 1% of those customers. So that's the math on a very high level behind it. And likely we could go into hours of discussions of what exactly is the algorithm, but it's based on RFM models and images. Makes sense? Thanks.
Get your main purchase your beer as well for the RFM model.
Yes. I would have trouble with recency frequency.
Yeah, monetary. That's right.
Yeah. So if you don't know the term, I'm happy to buy you a beer.
Yeah, that's a tough term. Okay, can we go on? Do you mind?
Yes.
So once you know that you want to work with your defecting customers, you want to really start working on them. So you have a strategic dashboard where there are some further calculations based on what your business's objectives are. And those objectives can be either revenue or increasing the number of active customers. And based on the results and the numbers and your business's main goals, you can set up strategies. And within those strategies, so you can set up a strategy of reducing customer churn. That's pretty much, reducing customer churn is pretty much in sync with winning back defecting customers. So I'm going to click on get better results with tactics, because this dashboard, the really amazing thing about this, and this is not a sales presentation, is that each tactic is basically a pre-built automation program that you can use to create those campaigns. So you don't have to think about, okay, so my customers are defecting, so what segment do I build, what email do I send, what channel do I use to communicate with them, because you have the best practices of many industries and a lot of our expertise, and you can just go in and look for defecting customers. Just one sec. And there you go. You have a tactic. So on the tactics page, there is a synopsis of what is going to happen when you want to communicate with your defecting customers, and you can choose what kind of channels you want to. I will explain what kind of channels we have later on, because CRM ads and web channel might not mean anything to you at this point, but you can decide the channels and you can decide which package you want to use, and then you can create the tactic. In this case, it takes a few minutes to create the tactic, and I want to show you immediately. So I created one already for you. So this is a very simple automation that the tactic has created for me, and you can see that these colorful little thingies here on the canvas are called nodes, and each node is an action point. It's either an entry point or an action point or a channel that you can use. So in this case, when you want to win back defecting buyers, then there is a recurring filter every day that is going to select to you a segment that is, in this case, as you will see in a minute, is going to be a customer lifecycle stage segment. So as I said, in Smart Insight, the life cycles are actionable. So in this case, the action is an actual segment of defecting customers. And then you go, you're going to send an email to those customers. And we have pre-created an email, but obviously as a marketeer, as a user, you can send any email that you want. In this email, we are sending you a little psychological push of missing you, and a nice picture, and a little coupon that you can use, and then some product recommendations in the end that are based on wisdom of the crowd and popular products. We have several different types of product recommendation blocks, so you can use really anything that you want for this campaign. So we sent out that email, then we wait a few days, and after a few days, we're gonna check. With the filter switch node, we're gonna check whether the customers have purchased. So the Smart Insight criteria in this case is whether they have purchased. If they have not purchased, then we're gonna send another email that is even more pushy or more pressuring, because now we say, won't you come back to us? And the same coupon again, the same recommendations again. Obviously, this is a very simple program, and then the program is finished. Now, in automations, we have two different types of automations. This one is a lifecycle automation product called Automation Center. And we also have a new product that Lucy will be talking about more in detail that is called Interactions. That's more for the behavioral-based, time-sensitive lifecycle campaigns, like you left some stuff in your cart, and that we want you to go back and complete your purchase. So you can see on this dashboard of automation programs the different types of programs, either an automation center program or an interactions program. Okay, so we have the nice little program that we want to build, and what I also wanted to show to you is the content and the personalization capabilities of Emarsys, because I think that is really amazing. So I'm gonna go to email campaigns, and I will show you VCE, our blog-based editor. And I'm sorry about this, but there's a training session ongoing at the moment with some users in the UK. So the email that I created is not here anymore. Oh, there it is. So I'm gonna take a look at this email, and I'm gonna use the editor, the VC editor, to show you the content blocks, because these content blocks really make the life of the marketeer very useful. So Johannes is going to have a good time creating those emails, because you can just pull these these blocks from the left to the right. And what I really wanted to show you is the personalization capabilities, because what we have is personalization tokens here on the left, and you can see that there are many ways you can personalize an email, not just the first name kind of personalization that we have been using for basically 30 years. But I'm going to use that now so that you can see how easy it is to create. Sorry about that. I can't type properly. But anyway, you can see how easy it is to put in a personalization token. So not just first name, but geolocation, replenishment, loyalty personalization. You can really pimp up your email with VCE. And the other thing that I wanted to show you, and then I'm gonna hand over to Lucy, is the different types of channels that we have in Emarsys. So we send like, I don't know, 20 billion emails a month, roughly, these days. But we are not only strong on emails, but also on other channels. So we have a mobile engaged product, so we send out push and in-app messages, as well as inbox campaigns. SMS campaigns are very successful if you have SMS opted-in customers. Web channel campaigns are also really successful in case of Puma, with the lead generation. An SMS, a web channel overlay campaign has really worked wonders, and I'm going to show you one quickly here, because it's I think, as far as I remember, it's a new contact acquisition campaign. So a web channel campaign puts an overlay on your website based on the user identification data. You can see a new user comes to your website, that data is collected, he or she is not identified, so immediately an overlay pops up, prettier than this obviously, pops on your website and urges her or him to shop. In case it's a logged in customer who we are managing to identify, then obviously you can send personalized messages on the website as well. Very powerful tool to increase campaign effectiveness. And one more little thing to show you is our analytics tools. You have seen the strategic dashboard, which has a lot of analytics already. I think that revenue analytics is this service that we have is really second to none, because you can evaluate the revenue impact of all your campaigns, of your recommendations, of your SMS, email, and mobile campaigns as well. So you can see the data on your revenue analytics dashboard. And that's it really. That's what a successful marketeer has to know on their first day. So I'm very happy to answer any questions about the rest of the product. If you have any. Sorry.
Question.
Okay.
You have multiple channels to reach customers, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what's the best way to use them? Do you benchmark two channels with 50-50% users, or do you send to one customer on multiple channels? How do you...
Do you want to go, Amisha, or should I?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. So, what channel works for your customers is really that a lot depends on your brand. It's a very complex question. Obviously, you can A/B test. There are many there are functionalities in automations to A/B test. It's very difficult to A/B test on a large scale that really shows you the impact or one or the other. Our suggestion is to test. Try as many channels as possible. It also depends on your customer base. It depends on your opt-in results. Depends on your creative. Depends on your message. It depends on a lot of things. But we provide tools to test. But there is no golden method of which channel works best for which marketer, or which mix of channels works best. But maybe Gergő, you can add to that.
I also can. So we have the so-called AI segments. This is another product for our platinum customers who pay enough for these segments. And based on the data that we gather, we can tell you whether they are very likely to engage with your email, for example, and you can define a segment that they are not likely to engage with your email, and then you can target those customers via mobile, for example, or via SMS.
Yeah, so, or maybe another example is that we have a social integration with Facebook ads, but Facebook is really expensive compared to email. So we can see whether someone is likely to come to your website in 2 weeks. That's a likelihood which we can calculate for you, and marketers can use it. So let's not bombard customers with Facebook, which is expensive, if they will come to your website very likely anyways. So that's the other use of this. Sorry.
I see, thank you.
Any other question, or did we answer? Yeah,
how do you collect data?
How do you collect data? So we don't do any gray or illegal stuff. We are Emarsys is basically a data processor. What we do is that we get data from our customers. The basic way of collecting data for Emarsys is when you go and sign up to any website. You register to extremedigital.com, and that data will come to us. Now then, we also have different ways of getting live data. When you're browsing the website, we have a JavaScript snippet embedded there, which then basically says, okay, you have actually viewed this product, you purchased, you added this to the cart, and that data travels to our data warehouses in real time, so that we can really process it. And we also have this for mobile SDKs, so we can get this data from mobile devices as well. And we can also get sales data of purchases from backend systems. So while a JavaScript snippet can be tricked, and that's not something which you wanna build your business on, very likely, we can get back office systems like ERP software, and they can also send us daily batches of sales data which you can use.
Are you using third-party data providers?
We don't, but so Emarsys itself, it's not, because it's we are not owning the data, we are just giving ways to manage, but customers can of course do that, but that's their problem to deal with, and that legally is also their problem to cover. We are very, especially being part of SAP, it's a big European German company, we are very strict on all GDPR and other requirements, we make sure that all that is settled, so we don't buy data and enhance your data set or anything like that. That's not our business.
Okay, just one more question. Are you using your own cookie solution, let's say?
So this web snippet, the web behavior product that has a cookie in it, which is a challenging thing these days because the cookies are being more and more limited. But we do when you log in or you open an email in the browser or click, we basically link your session We store a cookie to make sure that we can identify you. You will have like a visitor ID. We'll know that, okay, you are actually this person in our databases. So like whatever you do, we can like link together through that cookie. Thanks for the questions. Okay.
On the very first chart, was it user interactions versus time?
I don't know which was the first chart.
The
what Emese showed in the presentation?
Yes.
I don't remember. This one?
Okay, brand interaction. So
yeah.
How do you define brand interaction?
So I think, like, Emese, maybe you want to answer?
Yeah, sure. So brand interaction is really basically everything your brand does communicates to your customers via any of the channels. So it's the images, it's the text, it's the subject line, it's the header, the footer, you know, the whole complexity of your, not just your emails, but any of your communication that you send to your customers. It's how you send an SMS, how you create a.
So for new users, you want to send more, and for existing users, less.
Yes. So you very likely you don't want to bombard your long-time customers with so many messages, especially if they are active. So because if you do, then you practically just become a spammer and people will ignore your messaging. Mm-hmm. So in an ideal world, you send a very minimum amount of messages what's needed to keep those customers still buying with you. Like that's the idea. Of course, sounds good. Doing it's much harder.
Yeah, you don't want to send too much, but you want to send really good emails. That's the and not just emails, any messages. And it's not as easy as it sounds sometimes.
Okay, one last question.
No problem.
Do you have the in-app messages notifications when you are on the website?
Yeah. So on website we call this web channel. You have these like modal windows basically popping up, and also you can replace blocks in a website. So you can say that like you have a website, and then the marketer can say that if you are like a platinum customer of ours, let's show instead of this image, that image. And like this, like the beauty of this is that this is controlled by the marketer, and you don't need IT to actually go to build it. Because of course you can build everything, but with the solution you can just, the marketer can just go and say that like, that block, like visually they select that block and say that let's put my content here instead for those specific customers. And also give like banners which can be shown on the website. And now we are rolling out the web push, which is basically the mobile push alternative on browsers. So this is also coming up more and more all around.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Very good questions. Thank you, guys.